35 years of the best sports talk in Nashville. It's the George Plaster Show with Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame quarterback Kelly Holcomb and young gun Lewis Maddox. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
And welcome back in Wednesday edition of the George Plaster Show. I'm Lewis Maddox, filling in for George until his return tomorrow. And I want to go ahead and say that we will be at Austin Peay State University tomorrow for their Week 0 opening game of their 2026 football season at 6 p.m. with Gardner-Webb. Both of those teams, 7-5 a season ago, should be a really fun night in Clarksville. And we will be doing our show there live from 3 to 5 tomorrow, George's first day back. And now we say hello to Mr. Kelly Holcomb. Kelly's in Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you doing?
What's up, King Louie? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. A little rainy. How's the weather in Murfreesboro?
It's raining right now, man. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
I don't know what I got going on with my hair. I look like a clown.
Kelly, did you just wake up?
No, I've been up. Been up all day. I've been up since way early this morning, dog.
Love it. Alert.
I could have taken a nap earlier.
Yeah.
Could have.
I feel like I could take a nap right now. You know, it's middle of the week.
And you have to deal with George tomorrow, so you might as well go ahead and get your rest.
Yeah, well, you do too. Are you excited about that?
No, I will not. I've got to go. My son's got a game tomorrow.
Oh, so you won't be joining us tomorrow?
I will not be joining you, or next week. He's got 2 Thursday night games to start the season. So,
wow. Well,
yeah,
you'll be missed. Hey, we've got Terry McCormick waiting on deck. He's not with us on the stream today. He's going to be joining us via phone, and we do have him. Terry, how are you doing on this Wednesday, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Terry, Titans play the Bears this Saturday at Nissan Stadium. More importantly, joint practice tomorrow. What's the timeline like on that? What can you tell us about it?
Well, they'll start, mid-morning around 10:30 or so, and then they'll practice for a couple of hours, and then Friday will be walkthroughs in preparation for the game, and then the game is at 5 p.m. on Saturday evening, and I think it's on Channel 2 again.
Yeah, Terry, and media availability for that joint practice, are you guys going to be able to be in there? If so, what are you going to be looking for?
Yeah, we'll be able to, watch the entire thing. And I think one of the things I think you want to see is for the Titans to, start doing some of the things that they've really been kind of struggling at over the last couple of weeks here in the preseason. I mean, they did pretty well in the joint practice against the Seahawks, but it was one of those situations, too, where, it looked like some of it didn't really carry over to the game. They didn't really, they weren't able to get very many explosive plays at all. They basically, same thing as in the practice. They took a lot of the shorter stuff, the check downs, which you have to do that sometimes. But it's interesting that, they weren't able really to carry that over successfully, what they did in the practice into the game, in my opinion.
Terry, is there any difference going from weeks 1 and 2 to 3 in the preseason and it being the last preseason game? Are there any differences in what each coaching staff is going to be wanting to look at more closely?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, different teams handle it different ways. I think from a player standpoint, if you're a guy that's on the bubble, this is really your last chance to kind of show what you're capable of doing, and you want to be able to kind of put your best foot forward. So if they're having doubts about you, you want to try to do your best to erase that and be able to, secure yourself a spot, if not on the 53, at least on the practice squad.
I was curious about this, Terry. How quickly do those cuts start after final whistle on Sunday or Saturday?
Well, they probably already know a good deal of which ones are, going to be out. I think, some of them they could probably make right now if they wanted to, but it's a matter of they'll start officially probably early in the day Sunday and start, whittling down. And then once they get into that last 4 or 5, trying to figure out who to keep and who to let go of, those decisions usually don't come until much later in the afternoon.
Are there any injury updates prior to this stint with the Bears?
Well, keep an eye on Keldrick Falk to see if he plays, and an eye on Andre James, and an eye on Dorian Mossy, who also missed some practice time. So I think it's one of those situations where there are a few guys banged up, a couple of them maybe roster bubble guys that really, need to show up and get healthy here before too long.
Terry, any other notes before we let you go?
Well, one thing I wanted to ask Kelly about, and I asked him earlier and told him I was going to ask this. I watched some of the Kurt Warner video on Cam Ward, and him talking about Ward being able to climb the pocket and needing to do more of that as opposed to being able to run out the back of the pocket and roll out all the time, which I agree with Warner that, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I agree with him in that Cam needs to do more of that. But I also wonder, is it difficult for a shorter quarterback like that? Because when I watch, going way back, Fran Tarkenton or Doug Flutie try those sorts of things, it was hard for them to stand in the pocket, see over the line, and deliver the ball. So they were always rolling out and on the move a lot when they threw. And it makes me wonder, is it harder for shorter quarterbacks to be able to climb the pocket like you want them to see over the line?
Well, Terry, and you did text me this earlier, but that was kind of their games. Like you look at Fran Tarkenton when he was at Georgia, or Doug Flutie when he was at Boston College. That was kind of their games when they went into the pros. You take a guy like Drew Brees. Drew Brees was not a runner. He was not very tall. They had him listed at 6 foot, but I guarantee you, Drew Brees, I met him. He was 5'10", 5'11" at best. So he never did that. I'm 6'3". I'm definitely not the tallest guy in the world. There's some of them guys that I used to go down to Peyton's camp that were 6'5", 6'6", which was unbelievable. They walked through the door, and I'm like, good gracious, these dudes are huge. But with that being said, I played with a bunch of guys that were 6'5", 6'7". Played with one dude that was 6'8", who was a first-round pick, and his shoulders they looked like they were like 5 feet wide. It's just ridiculous. But there's no way, even at 6'3", I can see over that. So you have to see through gaps. Like, those guys don't stand still, so you have to see through gaps, and you know where your guys are going. But I will say this, talking about Kurt Warner, I don't know if guys are taught that way anymore. I'm sure they are. I guess they are, but that was my whole deal. Like, when everybody that's listened to the podcast or listened to the broadcast on radio today, when you go to the Titans football facility or you go to training camp, you'll see that half moon out there that they've got. They used to paint those things. They're probably on the AstroTurf now, or the turf now. But that's what the offensive line uses to signify the pocket for the quarterback. And that's where they know he is. Well, you have to be a good manipulative guy of the pocket. Tom Brady was unbelievable at it. Peyton was good at it. I was good at it when I played because I was not a runner. So those guys knew that they could get consistent the tackles could get consistent knowing that they're going to run the guys up the field. They don't let them come underneath them, and you got to be solid in the front with your guards and your center. So then you can climb up into the pocket. Now, the last couple of years, the pocket hasn't been great for the Titans quarterback. So that may be a confidence issue right there, but, you still have to do that. You still have to be comfortable in the pocket. And that's how I was taught. But I think nowadays, with all the athleticism that these guys are bringing from college, I think some of these coaches just say, hey, if your first guy's not there, take off running. And I don't understand that, because at some point you got to play the game from the pocket. And I think Kurt Warner's absolutely right. You've got to be able to maneuver just maybe 1 or 2 steps or 3 or 4 steps to the right, or maybe 1 or 2 steps up, and give yourself a little bit extra time, because all it takes is a split second. So, yeah, it is harder for those smaller guys to see over the line, but you see through the line. But you have to work on that, and I think they have to work. I talked about yesterday. I think they have to work on Cam Ward's feet.
All right. That's a good answer, Kelly. I appreciate that. That was good.
Terry, and we appreciate you.
All right. You guys have a good one. Thanks.
See you, brother.
See you, Terry. That was Terry McCormick, insider for the Tennessee Titans, giving us his daily Titans update. And that brings us to the last installment of Clay's Daily Sports Update. Clay, over to you.
Well, I appreciate the time I've been able to give y'all Clay's Daily Sports Update. I have a few things cooking for y'all today, so sit back, relax, and let's begin.
Okay.
Let's do it. So the Nod-Kausla-led group agrees to buy Seahawks for a record $9.6 billion. The deal still needs NFL owner approval, and the Kausla family must sell its stake in the 49ers before taking control of Seattle.
$9.6 billion, Kelly, with a B.
With a B.
With a B.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And to know that the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't even have enough money to get two decals on their helmet back in the day, and now they're worth billions. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'll buy you a couple decals.
Yes.
It would. It would. But on the same topic of eligibility, well, the SEC has come out and unanimously joins the Big Ten in banning, I should say, athletes from returning to college after entering professional sports. The new rule prohibits SEC schools from rostering players who declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft without properly withdrawing, signing a professional contract, or appearing on a professional roster. And Commissioner Greg Sankey has been given the authority to enforce the policy with penalties still to be announced as the SEC pushes back against recent court rulings that have allowed former pro athletes like Daquan Wright and RJ Lewis Jr. to still return to college this year.
Yeah, Kelly, and 2 minutes ago from CBS Sports, LSU abstained from the SEC vote. They were the only SEC school not to approve of the league's new penalty for coaches' schools that play ex-professional players.
Why does that not surprise me? And it's funny because the Big Ten, the SEC kind of got on the same page. I think the ACC is going to it. But say the Big 12 with, their crazy offenses and their no defense. Well, what if they just say, you know what? We're going to allow it. Come on, we'll take you. Is that going to happen? I don't think it will, but you never know.
I wouldn't put it past any of the smaller leagues to say,
absolutely,
let's go get these dudes and compete this year.
100%. 100%. Serena Williams and Carlos Alcaraz's U.S. Open mixed doubles run has come to an end yesterday as the star-studded pair lost to Belinda Bencic and Flavio Cabali in the quarterfinals. The loss came just one match after 44-year-old Serena returned to the U.S. Open for the first time since 2022, while Alcaraz was playing his first competitive tennis in 4 months after recovering from a wrist injury. Despite the early exit, Serena said she could potentially return to play women's doubles with her sister Venus, although she does not plan to compete in singles, which after this story came out, it is planned that she will be playing with her sister Venus, but 44 years old, still out here competing. I think it's just impressive that she's out there playing her sport.
Yeah,
that she's the greatest of all time at.
Yeah, she's the GOAT of women's tennis. That's pretty much all there is to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The PGA Tour season comes down to the Tour Championship this week at East Lake, where the top 30 players in the FedEx Cup standings will compete for a $10 million winner's prize. Scotty Scheffler enters atop the standings, but this year's format resets the scores, meaning every player begins on even grounding. What do you think about that, Kelly? You being a golfer yourself.
Well, I mean, I know they changed it last year, and Scotty Scheffler was all about it because he's been number one coming into this thing for the last several years, and he was all for it too. That's how Tommy Fleetwood won last year. He got hot. I don't know. I guess the point system is there so you can have a final like they're having. I don't know. I just think there needs to be some merit there. I think you started a couple of years ago at 10 under, which one it accumulated to, and the next guy was like 6 under or something. I don't know, but the top player in the world didn't want it, so who am I to say anything else other than hey, I'm good with it starting there too, I guess.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Bus Sports Capital has joined the new San Diego Padres ownership group, giving former Lakers executives Joey and Jesse Buss a minority stake in the franchise. The Buss brothers will serve on the ownership's group's advisory board and bring their experience in player development, payroll management, and roster construction. The move is their first major investment since the Buss family sold its majority stake in the Lakers, and the Padres were recently purchased by Kwanzaa Jones and Jose Feliciano, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, at a record $3.9 billion valuation.
Are those two brothers part of the 6-team siblings that are going through all the lawsuits?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So we're just adding to the fire here. Let's go and start a new business adventure.
I guess so. I mean, I guess they're tired of her sister. Who
I don't know, man. That's interesting. That thing's gonna blow up.
I'm sure it's gonna go to court at some point, if it hasn't already. Benedict Mathurin agrees to a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Pelicans. Mathurin is on a deal that includes a player option, giving him the chance to reach unrestricted free agency as soon as next summer. He averaged a career-high 18 points per game last season between the Pacers and Clippers. The Pelicans, hopefully they can get on the radar of being relevant with Zion, Trey Murphy III, bringing an athletic wing like Benedict Mathurin who can score at the rim pretty easily. Should be an upgrade for them.
Hey, Kelly, I mean, if you're paying older dudes that aren't averaging 18 points a year, $97 million for a contract, I'd say 18 points a game for $16 million is a pretty good bargain these days.
Good. Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't know what's going on in the NBA, but it is what it is, man. Go get it when you can.
I think it's a fantastic contract for the Pelicans. Cam Hazard pulled off a major upset to become the inaugural world champion of Shaquille O'Neal's dunk competition, beating several professional dunkers, including 3-time NBA dunk or slam dunk champion winner Mac McClung, my bad. The 6-foot finance student from Dallas, who has a reported 50-inch vertical, earned near-perfect scores throughout the competition and beat McClung in the head-to-head finals. Here's the video.
Hey, Clay, describe the video because I couldn't fit the video into.
Oh, you couldn't?
No.
So basically, Cam Hazard,
50-inch vertical.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and he's just a finance major. This guy's an athlete, but what he does is he basically does a 360. Like under the, if you watched the dunk contest with Aaron Gordon when he jumped over the mascot, but like under the legs dunk, well, he took a twist on it, literally twisted in the air and did a 360 dunk. I mean, that was probably the best dunk of the night, and he wins Shaquille O'Neal's dunk contest. It was pretty insane. Wish we had the video, but it's fine.
What was prime Kelly Holcomb's vertical?
Gracious, I don't even know. Like,
were we cracking 30
like that?
Okay,
I think I had a 31, but I'm not totally sure on that, Lewis.
And that's still you gotta know 50 is. I've never heard 50 before.
When you get up above 40, I mean, you're doing something.
Yeah.
Like when you get up above 40, like those DBs, to watch those DBs at the combine jump and hit that stick up there. But when you talk about 50, I've never heard or seen anybody have a 50-inch vertical. That's kind of unhuman-like.
Me neither. And we're talking about a 6-foot finance student.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just on the street somewhere.
I mean, I don't know how accurate their measurement was, but it's insane. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if y'all have been tuning in to the Little League World Series, there's this girl, Kinley Rasmus. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right. Continues to make history at the Little League World Series, breaking the record for most total hits by a girl with her 5th hit of the tournament in Alabama's 4-2 win over Washington. The 12-year-old shortstop and pitcher broke the record just one day after tying the Little League World Series record for total strikeouts by a girl. She now has 14 strikeouts in the tournament and has helped Phoenix City win 3 straight games in a row. She is ridiculous.
Hey, when you see a girl at that level playing baseball, they're usually them because the biological clock, is different, and at that age, you might get beat up by a girl in the hallways in middle school, man. It's just different.
It is.
That's
so
correct.
It makes sense.
Sounds like from experience, Lewis. Did you ever piss one of those girls off and they smacked you in the face?
No, Kelly. No, Kelly.
That's what it sounds like.
No, that's just common knowledge. I wasn't getting beat up by middle school. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Clay,
Should we move on?
Yeah,
Should we move on, Lewis?
Let's just go ahead.
All right, I got 2 more stories for y'all. The Chicago Cubs set a franchise record with 30 unanswered runs over a 3-game stretch, breaking the previous mark of it, which was originally held back in 1969. I believe the Chicago Cubs beat the Seattle Mariners on Sunday when Seattle's up 2-0 and they scored 19 unanswered runs. And then Monday against the Diamondbacks won 7-0. And then last night they were up 4-0 against the Diamondbacks when they broke their streak, and the Diamondbacks ended up coming back and winning off a walk-off home run. Pretty incredible.
19 unanswered runs.
Yes.
In a single game?
Yes. Sunday. It was 2-0.
Like,
and then the Cubs went on a 19-0 run.
Like if you're out in the field, you just got to scratch your head and say, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of that has to come from Pete Crow Armstrong. That guy is probably going to win MVP.
Well, yeah. And at that point, 19 in a row, man, there's not much in your bullpen that's going to save you. You might as well throw me or Kelly or Clay out there on the mound and see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Last story for y'all. The New York Giants have lost wide receiver Calvin Austin III for the entire 2026 season after he suffered a torn ACL during Tuesday's training camp practice. Austin, who signed with the Giants this offseason after 4 years in Pittsburgh, was expected to play a significant role as the team's slot receiver. His injury could open doors for guys like Braxton Berrios or even OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., to take a bigger role in the Giants offense this season.
Yeah, they picked up Calvin Austin to replace Wan'Dale Robinson, who obviously is in Tennessee now for that slot spot. But yeah, that's a big loss for them because that's who they were counting on to take over that duty.
It's rough stuff. But that's the final Clay's Daily Sports Update for the time being. I appreciate y'all allowing me to come on, and I'll see y'all at some point later.
Clay,
Play
great update.
Michael Jackson and beat it.
All right, Kelly. I'll see you.
Appreciate it, Clay. That was Clay's Daily Sports Update. We'll run down what goes on the rest of the show. When we come back, Mike Organ will be on. We'll talk all things Tennessee sports, Tennessee athletics, as he does right sports-wise for the Tennessean. At 4 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Bobby Burton, who is an analyst for On Texas Football. So we'll talk a lot of Texas, a lot of NCAA, a lot of SEC in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll take your phones at 4:25. We'll take our first time out of the show. We'll be back with Mike Organ on the other side of this on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you tired of living with back pain? What would you do if the pain was gone?
At the Dr. Gill Center, we've helped thousands of people over the last 30 years break free from pain and get back to living life. We're committed to your outcomes, and our caring team listens, understands, and offers real solutions to neuropathy, back pain, and joint pain without unnecessary surgery or medication. Choose the clinic that listens. Choose the clinic that cares. Call the Dr. Gill Center today at 615-882-4838.
Let's make your pain-free life a reality.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
Second segment, hour number one here on the George Plaster Show. Lewis Maddox filling in for George until his return tomorrow. Kelly Holcomb, Clay Tillman also along for the ride on this rainy Wednesday in Nashville. And now joined by sports writer for the Tennessean, Mike Organ, as we always are on Wednesday. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Mike, I want to start this thing off by the news that we've received from three schools that a lot of our listeners in this area pay attention to, that being Alabama, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. All three of those schools making decisions as far as their quarterback, their starting quarterback goes. At Alabama, Keelan Russell over Austin Mack winning that competition, Faison Brandon winning it at Tennessee, and Blaze Berlowitz winning it at Vanderbilt. Now, we talked about this a lot yesterday, Mike, but to me, it seems like the Alabama and Tennessee decisions were very similar. We're going with the younger guy that has the most upside. We're going to develop him, and he's going to be here for a long time. Vanderbilt went the opposite direction. What were your thoughts on Vandy making the decision to go with Berlowitz over Jared Curtis?
I was surprised, and I think anybody who is honest would say they were surprised too in this NIL era. Now, before players were paid and back when loyalty and commitment meant a little bit more than it does now, I don't think it would have been as surprising. You reward a guy who has put in his time and give him a shot back then. In this day and age, though, when everybody's paying so much and they're getting so much good young talent, then you go ahead and insert them right away. One, you don't know how long they're going to be there, and two, you've got so much invested in them that you need to start reaping what you've got in them. So that's why I was surprised that Clark did what he did. Now, I admire Clark, and I don't question anything he does. If he sees something in Berlowitz that gives him a little bit of an edge over Jared, then I can agree. I can see that too. And in all honesty, and I had lunch with some guys today, you know, we're still talking about a guy in Jared Curtis that played against lower division football competition. Now, that doesn't take anything away from his future and what his ceiling, but it does mean that he's got some adjusting to do. He's going to go from playing against players who were nearly up to his caliber to playing against SEC secondaries and defenses, and that's going to take some adjustment. So, and you have a game against Austin Peay where you can make that transition. So, I wasn't totally shocked, but it was kind of interesting that Vanderbilt went a different direction than the other two teams you mentioned, Alabama and Tennessee.
Now, Mike, do you think that this decision, to me, I've been thinking about this the whole time in the sense that I think this gives more credibility and fandom, you know, from the Vandy fan base, because to me, it's him saying, you know, I see the best quarterback that I've got in my room, the best opportunity for us to go and win right now, and I'm going to pick that regardless of how much money each player is getting paid, because to me, and probably to everybody else, you're probably thinking that Jared is getting a lot more money than Blaze is. Do you agree with that this kind of sneaks our way into the Vanderbilt locker room a little bit and tells us that Coach Lee is not worried about the number that is beside each of these players' names? He's going for what he can win with right now.
Absolutely. And I think that's healthy. And when we first learned that players were going to be paid, and we didn't know anything about the structure at the time. But what we did know was that one player is going to be paid X amount, and this player is going to be paid a whole lot less or a whole lot more. It wasn't going to be even across the board for every player or every athlete in the athletic in the program. So when we heard that, we were like, how is a backup guard who plays, he might play 20 snaps a game, how is he going to stay energized and focused when he's making $3,000 or $4,000 a year and the quarterback's making $1 million? And we worried about that. And I think that it didn't quite materialize the way we thought it was, because everybody's doing pretty good. Everybody's getting paid pretty well compared to zero, what they were getting paid before. But you do have those guys that are the high dollar guys that, when you have a program like Vanderbilt, exactly what you said. It's like Clark said, I don't care what we've got invested. I don't care what we paid. Everybody, we're going to play the best players. And you don't see that, in the NFL, if you pick a guy first round and you pay him that kind of money, then he's going to play. He's going to start for you. In the NFL, it used to not be that way too. We saw Steve McNair sit for a couple of years here before he finally got his turn. So it's refreshing to see that Clark was willing to do that at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on the volunteer side of things, Faison Brandon announced as the starting quarterback in Knoxville. What were your thoughts when that news came out?
Well, we'd been hearing it since the spring. And we knew that he was, a highly regarded recruit, more highly regarded than George McIntyre and the transfer from Colorado. So it wasn't shocking at all. What would have been shocking would have been had McIntyre earned the job, and we started hearing a little bit of that speculation, 2 weeks ago, for a week or so. So if that had come to fruition, I think we would have been surprised. I think pretty much everybody agrees that Bradley appears to be a better fit in Heupel's offense, maybe a better fit than they've had for a couple of years in that offense. That maybe they can get back to what they were doing with Hendon Hooker, and again, he just seemed to be a better fit. And even though he's a freshman, he has McIntyre didn't have any more experience over him because of what little playing time McIntyre had up to this point.
Yeah, exactly. Not very surprising to hear that decision coming out of East Tennessee. But, Mike, since we've talked, I want to ask you about this, the whole deal with NFL players trying to make their way back into college from the class of 2022, and then the decision being made just a couple of hours ago that the SEC was not going, or was going to follow suit with the Big Ten and denounce this and say that this is not going to happen in the SEC. And now LSU saying that they didn't partake in that vote because they're kind of the school that is bringing all this to fruition, especially with Daquan Wright and Jack Pyburn too. So what have been your thoughts surrounding this craziness that has been going on in the college football world?
I had lunch today with Kelly Holcomb's college football coach from MTSU, Boots Donnelly, and as soon as he sat down, it was just he and I at first, for a couple of other guys joined us, and he looked at me and goes, "What are we doing? We're letting NFL players come back and play college football?" And I said, "Did you ever think you'd see the day?" He goes, "No, but there's a lot of stuff going on that I never thought I'd see the day." And the problem, and I think even with the four major conferences, or the four major conferences saying they're not going to allow it, it still can go back to courts. These players that are coming back or attempting to come back, they can still sue and try to come back, get temporary restraining orders, find a friendly judge. So that's where we are. That's where the NCAA has allowed this to get by turning its association basically over to the court system by not doing a good job running it for so many years, and now it's paying for that. I don't know how much it's going to matter until a really good football player comes back, and a really good football player is not going to come back because they have somewhere to go in the NFL. So I don't know why Lane Kiffin wants the two players that he wants. I don't know why why anybody would want some of these guys that couldn't cut it on that level to come back. And I am glad to see the conferences step up and try to do what's right, but it's going to be hard to do it because we know that whatever they try to do can be challenged and overturned.
Mike, my last thing before I turn it over to Kelly, we just had a conversation before we went on air with the head coach for Austin Peay, Jeff Ferris, and their program. We're going to be doing our show up there from 3 to 5 tomorrow before they kick off the season with Gardner Webb at the Fort up there in Clarksville. They were 7-5 a season ago, 6-0 at home. Chris Parson is just a fantastic quarterback at the FCS level. He's got SEC experience, so that tells you how good he is on this level and was fantastic last year. A Walter Payton Award finalist, which is the FCS equivalent of the Heisman. What can you tell us about Austin Peay this season? Are they going to take a step up after going 7-5 a year ago?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. They're ranked nationally in both polls, 17th and 18th. As you mentioned, they went 6-0 at home last year for the first time since 1949. I'm going to be up there tomorrow. I'm going to stop by and see you guys. I spoke with George earlier today, so I'm going to go up and cover that game because I find it a compelling game. You've got Gardner Webb, which joined the OVC the year after Austin Peay left the OVC. So there's some familiarity there, plus they played 3 times in their history. I think Austin Peay wins this game going away. Austin Peay has the number one offense in this new conference last year, the United Athletic Conference. And as you mentioned, with the quarterback coming back, Chris Parson, I've always loved him. I'm going all the way back to his time at Ravenwood. Thought that he I thought he was going to be an SEC quarterback. I thought he had what it took to play on that level, and I don't know that he didn't. Players transfer for different reasons, but I thought that was a huge get for Austin Peay last year. I went to their media day last year and got to talk to him, and I was so impressed with him. And I guess Ferris and some of the staff tried to make the situation that there was going to be a quarterback battle because I think the returning starter was coming back. But it was kind of with a wink and a nod. I mean, we all knew that Parsons was going to come in and take over, and he threw for 3,003 yards last year, 23 touchdowns, I think. And he's got, I think I saw today, 87% of his rushing attack coming back, and 2 of his favorite receivers and a wide receiver and a tight end. So I think last year was a launching ground for Austin Peay to get them back where we remember them being, back to being a playoff team. And I think this is a good opportunity for them to get off to a good start before playing Vanderbilt in the second game and going full circle to what we were talking about and not knowing which quarterback they might face in that. Well, they'll know because it'll be Vanderbilt's opener. So, yeah, I guess we will know that it'll be Berkowitz.
And not to mention that Chris Parson went 743 on the ground last year too, led the team in rushing yards and scored 14 rushing touchdowns, which is a program record. But, yeah, that dude's legit. Kelly, over to you.
Lewis, are you sure you're finished?
I'm positive. Go ahead.
Mike, I know we only got one segment, man. I got so many questions for you. It expands over a lot of stuff. But I want to ask you this. Y'all just got finished talking about the NCAA. And I think they're opening up a can of worms. It's amazing that the NCAA has no more power, that the conferences are having to start doing this now about the NFL players. But, and I said it in the opener when we were talking about it, you know, the ACC, I guess, is going to come along. What if the Big 12 says, you know what, forget all them other conferences. We're going to allow these NFL players to come in, or take it a little step further. How about the FCS schools or the Group of 5 schools say, you know, we don't care what the big schools. They don't really want us in it anyway. They don't care what we do. How about us? We're going to take these NFL players. Come on, we'll take you. You think that's going to happen?
Oh, absolutely. That absolutely could happen. And you're naive if you don't think it could happen. And, you know, I hate to point to Lane Kiffin as being right, but he said it yesterday when he said, if I don't take them, somebody else will. Now, I think we thought what he meant was, if I don't take them, Alabama's going to take them, or Tennessee's going to take them, or Ohio State. But to your point, if I don't take them, then MTSU is going to take them, or Tennessee State is going to take them, or somebody's going to take them. And he's exactly right. There are too many teams out there for you to say, well, everybody's going to be in unison and agree that if the 4 big conferences say no, then they'll follow suit. No way. If you're playing to put food on your table, if you're playing to keep a job, then you'll do whatever it takes. And if that means, and some of the players that would be coming back like that, Kelly, would be guys that could help a program, an FCS program, or a lower level FBS program. Like I said, I didn't understand Kiffin wanting them because I didn't think the tight end was going to play, wouldn't start for him. But a player that just couldn't make it in at an NFL team doesn't mean that he couldn't make it. He can still make an impact at a smaller school. And yeah, I think you're definitely onto something there.
And I think this is becoming more of a crap show every day with the NCAA. I really do. It shows that they don't have any authority. All they worry about is the NCAA basketball tournament. That's kind of all they've got anymore, which is kind of crazy. So that's going to lead me into the next thing. I guess it's a 2-part question. Do you think George McIntyre comes back to Vandy at some point? All right, that's my first question. And the second question is, and this is a hypothetical, because the NCAA has gotten crazy, what's going to happen? Because I know that the transfer portal has come and gone, but what's going to happen if, say, a George McIntyre, and just use him for example, he's gotten, say he started for a whole year, say he started for a year last year, which we know he didn't, but say, just a hypothetical, say he started, and then they make Faison Brandon the quarterback this year. Well, who's to say that maybe a University of Utah or Arizona State or UCLA, maybe they get their quarterback, their first string quarterback hurt, and they don't have any depth on the depth chart because their first string guy got hurt and they hadn't done good recruiting. Well, they look around the country and they say, well, this young man had a year and he played pretty good last year, but he just got beat out. I mean, are we going to see some of those transactions now with them saying, hey, let's go throw some money at him and see if we can get him out here to UCLA to play for us because we don't have anybody? Is that coming too, Mike?
Sure. And we don't know, since you don't have a collective bargaining and you don't have a union and you don't have any rules, and I thought you were going to go this far, Kelly, and just say, he's sitting on the bench there. Can he transfer now and play? Because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I thought that's the way you were painting it. Yeah. That can happen. I mean, if they got and you did say if they got somebody hurt, it was an emergency. Yeah, they can look and just kind of pick and choose somebody they want. And hey, here's George McIntyre. He wasn't bad last year. He's better than what we've got. So let's give him what he's making there or more. You'd have to give him a little bit more and bring him over and give him the opportunity to play. He's going to want to play. So when you have no rules, anything can go. And again, I don't, they're with this rule that they can't come back. These are just conference rules, and they don't have any way to enforce them. So definitely, I could see that happening. And again, everybody says, well, that would take a coach not taking the moral high ground. No, it would just be one that would be going by the rules that don't exist.
Did you see George McIntyre coming back to maybe Vandy? I mean, I know they got Jared Curtis, but like if Jared Curtis plays this year, and I'm going to ask you something about Berlowitz right here, but like, could you see George McIntyre coming here, going somewhere else, obviously?
Yeah, I wonder about that. I guess George has, in this new structure, 4 years to play. And of course, I think we all think that Curtis will go as soon as he can. And I think what you're going to say about Berlowitz is he has another year next year. So I think that competition spills over into next year. So could George come back? I could see it because of the family, because of the kind of guy he is. That's where George should be, is at Vanderbilt. That's just in your mind. That's what you think. His daddy was a coach there, a successful coach there. I mean, his granddaddy, and his daddy's a coach. Oh no, I guess that's his uncle. But yeah, that I could see that. I mentioned him possibly going to MTSU, and I was shot down quickly by someone who told me no. Gagliano is better for that program than George. But if not MTSU, what about another program on that level? So if he wants to play, he can go somewhere and play. I don't know how important that is to him. We'll find out. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens at Vanderbilt and with Curtis, how long he stays.
So let me go back to the Vanderbilt deal that y'all were talking about. Everybody's shocked that it's Berlowitz. I think you have to listen to Clark Lee because he came on the show and he's talked about it. He said there was going to be a competition. But I brought something up yesterday, and I want to see what you think about it, because the Berlowitz guy was with Jerry Keel and Tim Beck when they were at New Mexico State, and he was behind Diego Pavia. They all come to the East Coast, I guess, not the East Coast, but they all come east. They're at Vanderbilt. They all come together. He's kind of waited his turn, so you got to get his turn, so you got to give him that. But don't you think Clark Lee looked at it and said, man, he's been in the offense for a while. He's very experienced in the offense. Although he hasn't played much because of Diego, he understands kind of the intricate details that obviously had something to do with the decision that was made by Clark Lee.
Absolutely. We talk about the transition that Curtis is making to Vanderbilt. Well, what about the transition that Vanderbilt is making to Curtis? He's not Diego Pavia, not anywhere close, but maybe and very likely Berlowitz is. Because, like you said, he came from that same system. He came with Pavia, and he knows that system. And I would imagine he can run it, and he's looked good when we've seen him in it before, though not very often. But when he's there, he's looked good. So maybe it's as much about Vanderbilt making the transition to Jared Curtis as it is Curtis making it to college football. And maybe this is kind of the pathway. You go to Berlowitz, and he kind of does both what Pavia did and can do what Curtis did, and then maybe it's a smoother transition for Vanderbilt as long as Curtis is willing to go along with it. And I from all accounts, it seems like he would be. And I was so glad to hear Clark say that it was a competition, and for us to find out that wasn't just coach speak, because I don't like coach speak. It doesn't help me in my profession because nobody wants to read coach speak. And as a sports writer, I have to write it if that's all I have to use. But when a guy like Clark Lee says that, and it turns out it truly was a competition, it lends some credence.
And I think that kind of shows you kind of who Clark Lee is. But my last deal, because I know we're running up against it, but my last deal here is the first week of high school football. Were there any surprises that you got? Because here's the deal. I understand that we got a team up here that's won a lot of state championships. But when you go down to CPA and you beat them 56-7, that kind of is an eye-opener. And I know Georgia's team beat Phillip Rivers' team pretty bad as well. Were there any other surprises in the mid-state that you that happened this past weekend that you was like, wow, that's a little crazy right there?
No, I can't think of anything, Kelly, because that CPA score, I saw that, and I saw it late, and I thought it was a joke. I had no idea. I thought it was another sport of some type. I could not imagine that. I covered Innsworth and Whitehaven, so I got home and got my story done, and then I just started scanning through X and some other stuff just to see how the scores came down. And I saw that late. I didn't see it at the top, and I thought, well, that wasn't the football game, and that scares you about how good they can be, because I thought CPA, and I still think CPA can have a good football team this year, but it's just so hard. Pearl Cone and NBA, I think, came down to exactly what we thought. It'd be a good game, and NBA might pull it out at the end, which they did. Can't think of anything in Metro that was surprising. Brentwood Academy, of course, last week. Kelly, we may end up seeing the same game 3 times in a row with Brentwood Academy and Baylor. Last year, this year, and then at the end of this year, it may just be a replay. When you got a running back like that, and they've added, if they throw the ball around a little pretty good, they can play around for 3 quarters, and then that guy's a physical specimen. George's is, and he's going to be as strong at the end of the game as he was at the game, but he's going to win it for you. So, yeah, I didn't see any shocking results that I can think of other than CPA.
I hope we get that match. I hope we get that matchup a couple of times, because that Baylor Brentwood Academy game or Brentwood game was fantastic to watch for a few quarters. Mike, if we could talk to you for 2 hours straight, we probably would be able to do it, but we got to run. We appreciate it. Good, great stuff as always.
Always great talking to you guys. See you later.
Yes, sir. Mike. See you, Mike. That's Mike, Tennessean sports writer, Mike Organ, giving us all the information that we need surrounding pretty much every level of athletics that you can think of. We'll go to the break, wrap up hour number 1 next at 4 o'clock. We'll have stat of the day, and then we will have Bobby Burton, who's an analyst for On Texas Football. Texas Insider knows all about it. We're going to talk a lot of Texas, NCAA, and SEC in the 4 o'clock hour. But right now, we'll take one more timeout, wrap it up on the other side here on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Baseball is just like music. You don't believe me? Let me show you. It's jazz, improvised, and unpredictable. It's rock. The crowd explodes like a guitar through a wall of amps. It's rap, fast, sharp, all rhythm, and timing. It's country, nothing but 3 outs and the truth. Do you believe me now? Look, no matter what music you're into, the hottest track in town, Nashville Sounds Baseball. Welcome to Hit City.
You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Football night in Nashville is back, and it's ready to roll from Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Our next event is the opening night of the NFL regular season, Wednesday, September the 9th, Super Bowl rematch, New England at Seattle. And then the next night, Thursday, September the 10th, it's the Rams and the 49ers. It's football night in Nashville with great prizes, incredible televisions, and fun that's guaranteed.
Here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment, hour number 1 here on the George Plaster Show. Lewis Maddox, Kelly Holcomb holding down the fort today. He's in Murfreesboro. We're in Bellevue at the Ford Ice Center upstairs at Draft Picks. And Kelly, we've got about 2 minutes to talk about this here before we bring on Bobby Burton, who's a Texas football insider. To me, Texas is in a very interesting spot, and they may be the only team in this spot, in my opinion. I don't think that they're a Georgia in this conference, but they're also not one of those fringe teams. Like, this is a team that is championship or bust, but I don't know if they're completely elite yet. What is your take on Texas?
I just can't get what Herm Edwards said to us a couple of weeks ago. We went and watched them practice, and he's like, they're really good, and they really know they're good. They haven't done it. That's the whole thing. And I think their week 2 matchup with Ohio State, they start off with Texas State, but then with their week 2 matchup with Ohio State, it happened last year, and that was Arch Manning's first game, and he had to go to Columbus. I think it's an important game. I really do. I don't know if it has anything to do with the playoffs, because I think Texas is one of those teams that is good enough to get into the playoffs. We'll just have to see. What does that do to them early in the season? Do they play good, or do they lay an egg at home? So I think that's a huge game for them. Looking at the roster, it's cool to see some of these teams that have transfers and some that don't have many transfers. They don't have that many transfers that's coming in here this year. They've got a good receiver in the Cam Coleman kid that's coming in. That just gives Arch Manning another weapon. But I don't know. I'm not sure I'm ready to call him elite either because I think you have to see it on the field. I think there's a lot of pressure on Steve Sarkisian, don't you, this year? I think they put so much money and invested so much money because I think Texas and the Longhorn fans and all the people that are in the Longhorn alumni and all that, I think they want a championship. And I think they feel like that they have the team to do it this year. And I think they feel like that they got, if not the best, one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And I just think that it's kind of primed and ready for them to make a statement. Can they make a statement? I think we're going to find out pretty quick.
Yeah, Ohio State game, that's going to tell us a lot. It told us a lot about last year's team. This is a 10-win team a season ago. Bobby Burton is going to join us on the other side of this timeout to talk about Texas football. Can't wait to hear his take on, 10 wins, but when is that not enough? When is a championship what we want in Austin, Texas? We're going to find out a whole lot about that in the 4 o'clock hour with Bobby Burton, an analyst for On Texas Football, in the 4 o'clock hour here on the George Plaster Show.
The director is back. Hello again, everybody. It's the George Plaster Show. Hope you'll join me, Kelly Holcomb, and Billy Derrick Monday through Friday on 94.9 The Fan from 3 to 5 p.m. Talk sports with the Plaz. The George Plaster Show. Weekday afternoons at 3 on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Looking for your next big career move? Busy Bee is hiring immediately. We're looking for experienced pros to join our team as a plumbing project manager and HVAC project manager, comfort advisor. If you have residential plumbing installation experience, HVAC or plumbing sales experience, no current codes, and take pride in doing the job right, Busy Bee wants to hear from you. Valid driver's license, clean background, and drug screen required. Bring your skills to Busy Bee. Apply today.
Call 775-7833.
Check out our YouTube page at 1025 The Game for exclusive reports from the Titans with Connor Newt and Parker Kelly. The best Titans coverage lives here. Your sports live here. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network.
The weather is hot out, and the action is getting hotter at the Circa Sportsbook at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Feel the rush of every play in the largest sportsbook in Kentucky, from basketball, baseball, soccer, and more. Catch it all on an 80-foot screen, stadium-style seating. Download the Circa Sports Kentucky mobile app today and start betting like a pro anywhere in Kentucky. Don't miss a game at the largest sportsbook in Kentucky, Circa Sports at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
In case you missed Chase and Big Joe.
How about it's wrong? That's it. It's wrong. We think this is stupid. Stay away from college. You didn't make it in the NFL. That's on you. Not our fault. Bye.
Yes, but now you have general managers in college athletics that are finagling the system and wanting to bring in somewhat professional rejects.
Chase and Big Joe, weekdays at noon. Your sports live here on 102.5 The Game.
The Electronic Express outlet store in Madison is now open. Save up to 80% on brand name HD TVs and appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Like this Samsung 40-inch smart TV for just $129, or a Frigidaire top mount fridge only $399. Plus, find huge savings on laundry, furniture, mattresses, and more with flexible financing and no credit check. But hurry. Quantities are limited and it's first come, first serve. Shop the Electronic Express outlet store in Madison today.
Looking for bold flavor and big-time vibes in Music City? Head to Social Cantina Nashville, right in the heart of historic Germantown. From crave-worthy tacos and fresh Mexican fare to legendary margaritas, it's the perfect stop before the show, after the game, or anytime you're feeling festive.
With daily specials, weekday happy hour, and a lively atmosphere, every visit brings the party. Social Cantina Nashville. Loud, social, flavorful, and unforgettable.
Long day at the office? I don't know about you, but sometimes I just need something to look forward to. Well, guess what? At 12 Stones Golf Club, the real game starts after 3. That's right. Monday through Thursday, it's the Twilight Special. Just $52 for all the golf you can play. Think about it, guys. You're in your office right now, and you're only a few hours away from all the swings you can handle before the sun goes down. It's the perfect way to turn a long workday into a win. Book your tee time now at 12stonesgolfclub.com.
Welcome. I'm Tom, your banker in Nashville.
I'm proud to wear the green of Huntington Bank, a bank that has been building communities for 160 years, one relationship at a time. Come see us, and let's get more for money. Huntington Bank.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Hour number 2 on this rainy Wednesday in Nashville. Lewis Maddox, Kelly Holcomb along for the ride here on the George Plaster Show today. And always top of the hour to start the second hour, the Apple Collision Center's stat of the day. Kelly, which player has the most sacks in NFL history?
Michael Strahan.
No.
Are you sure? No, that's not right. That is not right. Michael Strahan has the most sacks. Do you remember the one where Brett Favre kind of fell and everybody was on him?
That was the single season record.
Oh, gosh. Was it really?
Yeah. That was just broken by Myles Garrett.
Golly, I just totally did. Okay, you're right. You're right. The single season, you're absolutely right. Bruce Smith, man. My old stomping grounds up there. I remember watching him for the first time, man. I was in Indianapolis with Peyton, and Peyton was a rookie. And little did I know that I would be playing up there in a couple of years. But when you watch Bruce Smith, you understand why he's in the Hall of Fame, because that dude was huge, and his first step was unbelievable for a big guy. He's
a big fella. 200
Yes.
sacks on the career. Reggie White in second with 198, and then Kevin Green.
Yep.
All 3 Hall of Famers right there.
Wow.
At
Michael
160
Strahan,
for
man.
Kevin Green.
I
Yep,
didn't
Michael
pay
Strahan.
attention, man. I did not pay attention.
I think his record was 22, and then
Yep, in the
Myles Garrett
season.
had
That's
23
right.
last year.
Yep.
Away from the NFL, we're now going to start to get into some more Texas and NCAA and SEC talk with on Texas football insider and analyst Bobby Burton. He joins us now on the George Plaster Show. Bobby Burton, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing this afternoon?
Doing fantastic. Bobby, kind of wanted to start here. Texas, obviously 10-3 a season ago. Things were fantastic preseason, number 1 ranking, all the hype in the world around the Longhorns football program. Then the Ohio State game happens, some fumbles, some falls for Arch Manning. He got more hate than he deserved, but then they go on to have a very successful season and get the win over Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. What were your takes on Arch Manning throughout the season last year? To me, the hate that he got from the media and everybody outside of probably Texas football was more than was necessary, in my opinion. Did you feel the same?
Oh yeah, I think they built him up and then tore him down. I think that's what the media does sometimes. But I'm not so sure I've ever seen a person that had never played a meaningful snaps get built up so much and then torn down and then resurrected in the same season like Arch Manning. The first half of the year, to your point, Arch Manning did not look very good, including that Ohio State game. But the final 6 games of the season, he looked really good, actually. He only turned the ball over twice, led Texas to top wins over top 10 teams, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, as well as OU. They ended up in the college football playoffs. So Arch ended up having actually a very successful year. It just wasn't perfect. And when your last name is Manning, I think people expect perfection at quarterback.
Yeah, when your last name's Manning, they definitely do, and they expect Manning-type play from the quarterback spot. This is a team that, I mean, and to stay on Arch Manning first before we get off of that topic, I mean, this was a dude that almost put his name into the hat to go and play in the NFL an off season ago, or this off season. What has been his major growth from year 1 commanding this offense to now year 2 as he's the captain of the ship?
I think it's really just familiarity and the speed of the game. I mean, you can only learn so much sitting on the bench. as a quarterback particularly. I mean, it is a fundamental rule in college football or in football, reps matter. And seeing a rush come at you in practice is where you can't even hit the quarterback anymore versus actual gameplay. It matters. I think he got his reaction time got quicker. He got rid of the ball quicker later in the year. And Texas Texas was at one point last year, Texas was 3-2. They finished 7-1 over the last 8 games. So they only lost to Georgia. Georgia beat them bad in Athens. But Arch Manning was a real reason for that in a positive way. And he ended with that Citrus Bowl win over Michigan, where, frankly, he was the best player on the field for either team.
Talk about the other additions that Texas has added this season, and more specifically, talk about how big of an addition Cam Coleman is to that offense and to Arch Manning's play.
Oh, I think Cam Coleman has been terrific in fall camp. I've seen him practice 4 times now and went to the scrimmage on Saturday. He makes the extraordinary catch look ordinary. You know how sometimes you go to a practice and maybe a guy leaps up and makes one catch one day and you're like, wow, that guy's got a chance. Well, every time I go, he's making one of those. It's like he does it regularly. You add him to what Texas already had at wide receiver and Ryan Wingo. Emmett Mosley is a standout as well. I think people are going to get to know him. Then they also added in the transfer portal guys, 2 all-conference running backs, Raleek Brown from Arizona State and Hollywood Smothers from NC State. Both rushed for 1,000 yards last year and caught passes for another 300 plus. So they've got a lot of weapons. And in the portal generally, Texas really made hay. I think they're going to start 8 portal transfers this year just from their portal class. Last year, they were the youngest team in the SEC. This year, they're still going to be the second youngest team, I think, in the SEC. But those portal transfers are going to give them some age and depth, I think, that maybe they lacked a year ago.
Yeah, and that brings me into this next thing. They're still a very young team, but we talked about this right before you came on just a couple of minutes ago, and I brought up the question and the idea of that Texas is in a very interesting spot, and I think they're the only team that can really, I can say, can be in this spot. I don't think they're on a level of a Georgia in this conference yet, but they're also not one of those fringe teams. Like, I feel like it's championship or bust in Austin. Do you feel that way about this football program? And on top of that, 10 wins, that's great. And that's kind of where we're sitting at with Steve Sarkisian. But like I said, it's championship or bust for Texas, I think, with this roster that they've got. How long do you think Steve Sarkisian has to go, just win 10 games a season? When would you say is the cutoff, or when he actually needs to go out there and do it, win the whole thing?
Yeah, this is a fair question. Texas hasn't won a national championship since 2005. They went through basically a 10-year drought of being relevant in college football. And I would tell anybody, and I think Texas fans that are of a certain age would say, hey, we're going to be careful with what we got with Sark, because clearly he's got it headed in the right direction. He's won 10 consecutive games, 3+ years. Some people get unsatisfied with that. I mean, there were Texas fans that were unsatisfied with Mac Brown back in the early 2000s before Vince Young came along, even though he's winning 10 games a year. I think that fans that get that way better be careful what they wish for. And I would say this, Steve Sarkisian, from an internal perspective at the University of Texas, is under zero pressure. Now, context matters. So if they go out and go 6-6 this year, okay, let's talk about the situation. But I just don't see this team doing that. They're too talented. But yes, it is championship or bust in some mindset. But any thought that Steve Sarkisian's on the hot seat after taking Texas to 2 college football playoffs and a 10-win season last year, I think is overblown by a lot.
And I would completely agree with you. I think that Sark is one of the best coaches in the conference, and he's doing it consistently. Now, if they do win 6 football games this season, sure, that does bring up the conversation. but I'd also peg the floor of this team somewhere around 9 wins. So I don't think that it will be a conversation. Now, my last thing here before I throw it over to Kelly Holcomb is kind of a more broader question on the NCAA, and we've been talking about this a lot, and I'm sure you've been talking about it a lot too. But the idea of NFL players that are in preseasons and mini camps and training camps right now being given the opportunity to try and come back and make their way into the college game, and just recently the SEC denouncing this and LSU not on board with its own conference. What have been your thoughts about this whole situation?
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I think you're not supposed to transfer from the Cleveland Browns to the LSU Tigers. It's just, I mean, I've been around long to think that's the way the world should be. You know, at the same time, those guys were not afforded the idea of a 5-for-5 when they probably should have been. So could there have been some mitigation of that? Sure. But look, I just think that Lane Kiffin calling a head coach of a pro team, trying to even inquire, or as has been alleged, trying to help a player in a lawsuit against the NCAA. I think that's where we've gone too far in this world. I mean, you can only do so much, and to continue to push the line in every single way possible is not what college football or college sports is all about. It's ultimately supposed to be about getting an education. I mean, to hear these guys that want to come back, well, they left and they didn't have a degree for a reason. Now they want to come back. I mean, it makes no sense to me, and they want to be afforded this or that. And I don't agree with it by and large.
Bobby, Kelly Holcomb here. How you doing, man?
Good, Kelly. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Hey, so how big is the week 2 game against Ohio State? I know y'all start off with Texas State, but like last year, I think y'all brought it up earlier. Lewis even brought it up. You know, you were preseason number 1. You know, had high expectations. You go up there. That was the first time that Arch Manning had started in a college game like that, and you know, being the guy. And that's kind of a tough atmosphere. But I think people are waiting, and I think Lewis kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I think people are waiting just to see how good Texas is. How big is that game against Ohio State week 2?
I think it's enormous. It'll be the biggest Texas home game probably in this century, if non-conference at least, to give you an idea. I mean, Texas has played some big non-conference opponents, Notre Dame, Alabama at home, but never in a scenario where both teams will be top 5 entering the matchup. And that's what's going to happen on September 12th. There will be 105,000 screaming fans inside that building and probably an extra 25,000 outside of it that don't get tickets. It's already the highest priced ticket I've seen in the preseason at the University of Texas in my lifetime of covering the team. And that's almost 40 years now. I look at it, Kelly, and these teams are supremely talented. I think both teams, just looking at some mock NFL stuff, are going to have 10-plus draft picks in 2027. Just in 2027. So there may not be an actual matchup of any two teams all year that have that many potential draft picks in a single game. And they both have what I think are great quarterbacks. Julian Sayin completed 75% of his passes last year. The guy actually compares Sayin to is a little bit like Colt McCoy. I mean, he just doesn't miss. You know, it's one of those where now a lot of it is bubble screens and quick balls out of the hand, but he's a tremendous player, and they've got Jeremiah Smith and, you know, 2 Alabama transfers from the defense. I mean, Ohio State's loaded. Texas is loaded. I hope it's a hell of a game. I really hope it's a hell of a game.
We had Herm Edwards on here the other day. It was about 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about he had been to practice, and he had watched Texas practice, and he was like, you know, Arch Manning, man, he's gotten better, and he's like, they're good, and they know they're good. What are the feelings inside those walls? Do they think they have a really, really good football team?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that the one thing we have not discussed yet is the addition of Will Muschamp as defensive coordinator.
Right.
Texas under Pete Kwiatkowski, the former defensive coordinator, played that read and react, kind of played off on you in the secondary and kind of let you come to them a little bit. And they end up having really good defenses, not dominating defenses, but statistically really good. I think they were in the top 10 and 20 in the last 2 years or 3 years. But Will Muschamp brings an aggressive style that I think it's much more in your face, a la Georgia, some that he had at LSU, et cetera, that is more symbiotic, I guess is the best way to put it, with what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. Sark wants to kind of get on top of teams early with the talent he has and then grind it out through the run game late. Pete Kwiatkowski, the former defensive coordinator, was more like, hey, let's get into this game and let's figure it out. This, I think, is more of a good complementary mix with Steve Sarkisian and Will Muschamp, because I think that you're going to see Texas be very aggressive. They got a guy in Colin Simmons that might be the best defensive player in college football. He's going for this year. He's going to try to beat Will Anderson's all-time SEC sack record. I heard y'all talking about the sack record in the NFL. I mean, I think that record's 40 and Collins at 25 right now. So in a 3-year stretch, I mean, he might have a chance at that record. So I just think that Muschamp adds a different element that we haven't seen Texas play with on defense to complement what Sark wants to do. If that matches and if that mixes well, I think that's the recipe for a Texas national championship. If it doesn't mix well, then you're talking, to your point, 9-3. I just think they're too talented to go anything less than that.
So we've always talked on our show, man, this is kind of a different year. It seems that, the college football landscape is changing, but we would always talk about 3 big games in a row in the SEC for, a Tennessee, because that's where people are here, and Vanderbilt and Alabama. We got a lot of listeners. But the 4 games that I was looking at, it starts the SEC schedule. You play UT in Knoxville. You play OU, which is the Red River rivalry. You play Florida, who my son played for, John Summerall at Troy. He's a really good coach. They're going to be really good. I don't think people understand. Then you got Ole Miss, who went to the national championship game. Just looking at those, and now we got 9 SEC games in a row. What are your thoughts on all? Like, it's become – the Big Ten, the SEC, I know the ACC and the Big Ten out there, but or the Big 12, but it's kind of like all these games are like an NFL schedule. It's crazy.
I completely agree with the analogy of the NFL schedule. And the reason I do, in part, isn't just how the SEC used to be or how the Big Ten used to be seen as this kind of rough and tumble blue-collar conference, and the SEC was kind of big guys that run fast and hit hard. You know what I mean? It's the addition of the transfer portal, I think, that makes both of those conferences that much more competitive and hard to get through unscathed, because I'm telling you, injuries are going to go up. You play a ninth conference game, you're playing older guys now because of the transfer portal. Everybody has an older team than they normally do, right? Because they're looking to fix that left guard spot, right? As opposed to bring in a freshman or a sophomore or something and fill that role. So I just feel like, to your point, Texas and every SEC team is going to face issues like you're talking about from just a general standpoint of health and attrition throughout the year. As it relates to those specific games, my take on Texas this year is the biggest problem they have is not only the 9 SEC games in Ohio State out of conference. So that's 10 relatively tough games, right? The issue they have are the quarterbacks they face. I mean, you mentioned Ole Miss. Well, they got Trinidad Chambliss. He's pretty good. Sam Levitt at LSU. They go on the road to Baton Rouge. Julian Sayin in Austin. You can go down the list, and outside of Gunnar Stockton and Lenore Sellers, I think Texas plays the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, all of them. And so I look at it, and Texas right now has a hard road, but you know what? It's not. There's no woe is me in this league. That'll if you whine, all you get is your hat handed to you. And so I think that's what I'm looking at. I will say this though, Texas doesn't play UT in Knoxville. UT plays Tennessee in Knoxville.
Oh, my bad.
Hey, now.
That's a good one. Hey, that's a good one.
Hey,
so my last
Bobby.
I had one other for you guys. I had one other for you guys because you were talking about the Citrus Bowl win. Steve Spurrier would be proud of both, right?
Yes. Can't spell citrus without
Can't
UT.
spell citrus
yeah.
without UT, man. Hey, my last question is a quick one, Bobby. What do you see if they're this good? What do you see as a weak link for Texas's team?
There's two spots that right now going into 10 days out from when they play Texas State that I'm a little concerned with. Left guard. They took a all-conference kid from Western Kentucky that had played a couple years at Miami and started at Miami. They took him, but he's been bothered by a nagging ankle injury. And if they don't start him, they're going to start an Oregon State transfer that started several games for them last year. So that left guard position is questionable. They also just got an injury to their All-American left tackle, Trevor Gooseby. He has a bone bruise. He's expected back right now by Ohio State, so we'll see. Luckily, there's no ligament damage there, guys. And then the other part was the safety room. I think they've got a late first, mid-second round safety in Jelani McDonald, who Will Muschamp chooses to be the other safety is still up in the air. And so those two positions, left guard and safety, and then the injury to Trevor Gooseby are the questions.
Yeah, I'd say that losing Michael Taff and Muhammad in the secondary was a big loss. And also, my last thing before we let you go, wanted to ask this, Bobby, but Anthony Hill Jr., another huge deficit on that side of the football for Texas. We so appreciate that guy from Texas now in the two-tone blue or lack of two-tone blue here in Nashville at the professional level. What kind of guy is that Tennessee is getting? Because he's one of my favorites so far in early camp. But what kind of deficit does that create for Texas?
Well, I would tell you this. I watched him in high school. Ask him to carry the football for you, and you'll see a mean sucker now. I just tell him. He played running back in high school some, and he was not easy to tackle, and he liked to run with high knees, right into that chin when you put your head down. But no, I think that Anthony's game translates to the current NFL, where you have to cover in space at such a level and still be able to fit the run. And he's just so athletic for his size. I mean, you talked about it. He's a rare guy. Played for a powerhouse high school program before entering Texas. Ended up being a starter at Texas late in his freshman year. Just one of those guys that, I mean, frankly, played 3 years in college, and you knew he was only going to play. By the end of his freshman year, I could have bet. I probably could have got odds on that he would be a 3-and-out guy, right? And that's what he was. And so I think Tennessee got a guy that's going to be a long-time starter in the NFL. If not for them, he'll be a starter in the NFL for quite a while.
I'm thinking that he's going to be a starter by the end of this season. He had a great game against Seattle this past weekend at Nissan Stadium, picked off Jalen Milroe in that game, which was awesome to see in person. But, Bobby, we really appreciate the time. You're great for doing this. It was great stuff. Hope we can hear from you again sometime.
All right. Hook 'em horns, guys.
Hey, go Vols, Bobby. We appreciate Bobby Burton on with us here today on the George Plaster Show. We're going to open the phone lines on the other side of this break, and we'll tell you that number now, 615-759-9949. Again, that number, 615-759-9949 to get your input here on the George Plaster Show with myself, Lewis Maddox, and Kelly Holcomb. We'll take your phone calls next on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
On ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
Second segment, hour number 2 here on the George Plaster Show. Kelly, little bit disappointed. No phone calls right now. We're going to give out the number again, 615-759-9949, 615-759-9949 to get in here on the George Plaster Show with myself and Kelly Holcomb today. What we'll do until we have some content to talk about here on the George Plaster Show is we're going to hear from Cam Ward, his thoughts on his performance from the game against Seattle on Sunday. So we'll hear that, his press conference from after the game, and we'll talk about it a little bit on the other side of this.
Feel, as a whole.
And the pass to Carnell seems like he could get it, just kind of missed his fingertips. Is that something that you guys will work on and practice going forward? Just trying to build that connection as you go forward.
Continuously getting more reps in practice when we rush on there and in team periods. And then just, me putting in a good spot for him to end up making a play. But he's made that play 1,000 times. So, when the time comes, we're going to be able to both make the play.
2 weeks, Coach said that you guys are running a basic offense right now. Does that kind of hurt some of those reps and some of that connection that you're getting, or does it more or less help you as the season, as you guys ramp up closer to the regular season?
Both. You take away reps that we do all the time in practice. We're not going to do it in the game. They also get some real game reps of plays that we're not doing in practice so much. So it's kind of in between. Then it's also, doing what we're good at all the time, which we're going to, do during the season, not during the preseason. But it's fun because, you get to, you go through highs and lows of a game. You see the competitive atmosphere that we all have, and we all just eager to make those plays, and we will.
2 weeks in a row, you had a play that could have really
bit you if the ball had bounced differently? When you look back on the play at the sideline when the guy batted the ball away, what might you have done differently, and what were you thinking as that was unfolding?
He dove for the ball, made a good play. Ended up losing a couple yards. That's the bad part about it. So I got to be better in, my ball security standpoint when I'm outside the pocket. But he made a great play. We just got to be able to, convert on 3rd down.
Preseason game left 3 weeks before the regular season starts. What were the areas where this team needs to make the biggest improvement you think?
I would say our biggest improvement is, connecting on the play. We only get a certain amount of, shots that we get to take each and every game because the defenses are so good. So when we get the play downfield, myself and the receivers, we have to make the play. So I need to throw them, catchable ball. They're going to do their job by, attacking and making the play. So I think that's what's left for us. And once we do that, we'll be a pretty solid offense.
Having not gotten the results that you probably won in the first 2 preseason games, where are you as far as posting that urgency situation and getting off? Well, I mean, you had one touchdown drive.
Ready?
Big opportunity. You could agree that this is what you normally want out there.
No, it's not. And it's something that we gotta be able to go get. As far as the touchdown ratio, that's our goal, is to score the ball each and every time we step on the field. But it's a lot of things that go into it, and for us, we're more of continuously to have a next play mentality, and making good decisions. We've had a lot of good decisions from each and everybody, from the receiver when they're sitting down in certain spots in the zone, the O-line passing games also. Everyone playing smart football. But when it's time to do it for real, I think a lot of stuff will click. But we still have another week to get better on the little things that we need to get better on.
Cam, how do you control the highs and lows of going from a game practice where you seem to have pretty good success running the ball and scoring touchdowns against really good defense to a preseason game where, like you said, you're not getting those touchdown plays or those long drives?
You just take the game for as it is. It's going to be a lot of one-score NFL games out there. So, I mean, it really just goes back to, us making the play. In the running game and the passing game, a lot of things tie down into it. But, we just got to continue to, harp what we say, continue to, have the urge and the urgency to go score the ball each and every drive. And we have that. And, eventually it's going to show off.
Do you think playing as much as you are in these preseason games is going to help?
For sure. We're getting game reps, but not in a real game, if you know what I'm saying. And whether it's we're going against another team's 1s, 2s, or 3s, there's still good talent out there. It's the NFL for a reason. And so I think the more games and the more reps that we take, I just think it's going to help us, come week 1 and week 2.
You talked so much about how the scramble drill plays are all about timing. Are you comfortable with where the timing is with you guys right now, or is there something you got to kind of figure out to make some of those scramble drills play hit like they have in the past?
No, really just making a play. Me putting in their radius, and then us having, everything around us, from protection, me getting outside to extend the play as long as I can, then to me putting the ball in the receiver's placement and, then making the play. It ends up just becoming about making the play. We make the play, a lot of stuff take care of itself, but we're not far off. We're actually, right there to getting where we want to be. And the coaching staff, they continue to, push us to that standpoint where we want to be. But, it's going to end up paying off.
You talked about making the play when you had a chance. The big one was with Gunner today. He kind of just missed it. Did you have a chance to talk with him about how that timed up and what just missed? And how much will you guys look at that?
We should have never been in that situation. Me and Gunner have to be on the same page as far as the playing on time. And then when we do play off schedule, when I do turn the scramble drill, that's another ball I'm going to throw to Gunner him again. When it comes down to it, I'm going to put it a little bit more inside for him, and he's going to be able to get both feet down. We're going to connect on it. But, we go through things. You got to go through things right now. That way, you try to minimize as much, when the season does start. So, it's a good and bad with it. But, me and Gunner, we're going to for sure make that play again.
Sala talks about needing the 4th and 1, needing to be able to convert that, keep drives alive. How disappointing was it not to be able to move the chains on that?
I mean, it's disappointing because we turned the ball over, backed up damn near. But I mean, it's a decision that Coach Sala made, and with that decision, I mean, he's showing a lot of confidence in us. So we got to be able to run the ball, or when we do throw it on 3rd and 4th, short yardage situation, we got to execute. So just execution of the play, and then just continuously trying to get better.
Had two joint practices against two tough defenses from last year. What are some of the things you kind of learned going against these defenses that you can take into the next preseason game and then into the regular season?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is every DC, every defense is the same but different in terms of what they want to give the quarterback, what they're willing to let the quarterback beat them on. And then, also adjust to each and every team's defensive line. But it's easy for me to adjust to that because of who I go against every day in practice. And so the biggest thing that, looking forward is, going against the Bears, they're going to do a lot of things that we've already seen. They're also going to do some things we haven't seen. So it's really us playing post-snap and us, being able to see stuff after guys moving through those spaces where they get into Tampa or, some type of buzz or whatever. And then us being able to play, off schedule, and playing on schedule as well.
Do you think if things kind of started slowing down in Brian Daboll's offense for you, or are you still trying to take everything in?
Everything slowed down. We're finally at the point where, we're not going to be installing too much stuff. One thing about Coach Dave is he can go to walkthrough, he can make up a play in his head, and we'll run it right there and we'll execute it right there. So it's going to be nice to, really show what we really are about when the time comes. But I mean, it's exciting because, you get to get reps on plays that, you don't get in OTAs. So, you really getting a feel of, what he's getting a feel of what I really like and what I don't like. And then when the time comes, we're going to do a lot of stuff that, the players feel comfortable with.
That was former first overall pick Cameron Ward for the Tennessee Titans after their 19-16 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Week 2 of the preseason from Sunday at Nissan Stadium. And me and Kelly, we're going to break that down on the other side of this timeout that we take. But we've got some phone calls to get to, just a couple. Cade in Nashville was the guy who took the leadership role today. He's on line 1. Cade, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys. How are y'all doing?
Doing great, Cade. Hope you are.
I'm doing good myself. About an hour ago, the NFL came out saying they are eliminating the Pro Bowl game and just giving out the Pro Bowl award to those who, I guess, deserve it. And I think this is so good because nobody likes the Pro Bowl and the format and how it's done, especially last season, guys like Shedeur Sanders and Joe Flacco get the Pro Bowl nod because so many of these quarterbacks and these players don't want to play because it's boring and there's a risk to it. I mean, there's so much to it. And I just think it's good for the game. Get the award, have it on your resume, but don't play the game because nobody wants to watch it. And also don't give the award to people who don't deserve it, like Shedeur Sanders, who played like halfway through the season and his resume doesn't prove to be a Pro Bowl. Like that's going to be on his resume until he retires. And he obviously doesn't deserve something like that as of right now. Good later down the line, but I just want to get y'all's opinions on what you think the Pro Bowl is to y'all, and is this a good move for the NFL?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Cade, we appreciate the call. Yeah, Kelly, the Pro Bowl used to have some type of pageantry to it, and it was a desirable place for some of these guys to go to start their offseason. Does not seem like it is that way anymore. It seems more like a chore for these guys to travel and go to the Pro Bowl now, right?
It's amazing, though, in 2026 that 30 years ago they were playing the Pro Bowl, and it was a vacation for your family, but you still had to play football, and they were still hitting in that. And it's kind of crazy now. And with all the money, we talk about all the money in college and all the money in college athletics now, but now you've got all the money still in the pros, and these guys are making so much money, and nobody wants to go. And I'm with Cade, man. I thought he hit it right. I thought he hit the nail right on the head because nobody wants to watch that garbage. I haven't watched a Pro Bowl, all that flag football and all that stuff. That's ridiculous, man. Nobody wants to watch that crap. And I'm with you. With the money that they're dishing out to these guys, it's too much for an organization to send them off to play another game. They don't need it anymore, and everybody just wants to be recognized. And I think it's a good move by the NFL. I don't know what the numbers were. I don't know if you could even find those, but I don't know who would watch that. And it's amazing that they have any people in the stands to watch that stuff. People are so starstruck by these guys, but that has become such a laughable thing. Mainly for me, I couldn't watch it, and I think that was good for the NFL to just, hey, let's just axe that and give them the awards and be done with it.
Yeah, good that they're going to take it away because what it used to be was very cool. What it became, not very cool. I mean, Sean Taylor decapitated a punter back in the day. Tom Brady got decapitated on the sideline back in the day. That's what the Pro Bowl used to be. It is not that way anymore. Cade, we appreciate the call. That was a good point to bring up for us here today. Second caller, and then we'll take a break. Branham on line 2 in Nashville. You're up next on the Plaster Show. Welcome in.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing fantastic. Hope you are.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say that I still can't get behind the Titans rebrand. I get what they're trying to do with the new era and the new stadium, but the logo and jerseys just, to me, I don't know what it is. I can't do it. I thought it would draw me after being there at the preseason game this past weekend, and maybe it still will. But taking the flames off the logo, it makes it just look too generic and corporate-y and sort of Cracker Barrel-ish. And I really miss the Navy. Am I crazy, or did the front office just completely miss the mark by trying to play?
So Brandon, you truly don't like the uniforms? Because I love them. I mean, I love them. I like them because I'm always been a powder blue guy. But you just don't like them?
I don't. I think that I would more if they kept the Navy. And I do like the baby blue. I just miss the Navy. I think that's and the flames. The Navy and the flames are where if they had just kept those two things, I would have been happy.
Brandon, an extra question here. Well, they kind of brought the Navy back with the Broadway Knights rivalry uniforms. What'd you think about those?
I don't know. They're not my favorite either, but I don't mind them as much as I mind just the whole entire rebrand itself. I get it for like a fun little game to have the Music City jerseys or whatever, but I don't know. I miss the Flames.
And my last thing for you would be, Branham, what about the rebrand on the mascot T-Rack? Because to me, that was the most incriminating part of this whole thing was changing T-Rack to be a little more corporate himself.
I think that's just the cherry on top for me. I can't do it. He doesn't look scary. He's not intimidating. He looks like a millennial gray stuffed animal, and I can't get behind it. And I'm a diehard Titans fan, and it breaks my heart.
Well,
hey, she needs to call back, man. I kind of like her. She's got a stance, and she's not wavering. I love it.
Brandon,
I'm not.
Brandon, we appreciate the call for sure. That is an interesting point to bring up because most people have not had a problem with the overall rebrand of the team. Kelly, you seem to like it. I like it.
I do. Big
Brandon, we appreciate the call. We've actually got a couple more calls coming in. Running out of time a little bit, but we'll try and get them in right here. Tony in Nolensville on line 3. You're up next on the Plaster Show. Welcome in.
I'll be quick and save the next caller some time. First of all, y'all had in your earlier update about the young lady pitching down there, Kenley Rasmus. Y'all remember I brought that up a couple of weeks ago about that young lady that her dad and her uncle both played in the major leagues, and they played in Major League Baseball. And matter of fact, her mom was a star standout at Mississippi, I think Southern Mississippi, on playing softball for them. So this girl comes from a family of genes that's got, pro athleticism and just a lot of athleticism in her family. So she's setting a lot of records in the Little League World Series. Guys, I've heard on the show Tony Basilio just a few weeks ago. He seemed to have forgot what he said, apparently. He talked about in the SEC, you don't want to start no freshman quarterback. He went on a rant about starting freshman quarterback. Yet, yesterday, he's talking about how now the Tennessee's starting a freshman quarterback. It's the thing to do, and you're going to watch them. I think each school has their own merits. Why at UT they're starting this freshman, and Kelly, I'm with you on why Berkowitz is starting at Vanderbilt. He comes here, he's paid his dues, he's learned the system, he's been in the system all 3 years, he's earned his stripes, and I've said before on this same show, we all know what Jared Curtis is going to bring, but he still has not playing single A ball. I don't care how you cut it. Playing single A ball is not playing in the SEC when it comes from single A ball to being a SEC quarterback. Is he going to be the SEC quarterback in Vanderbilt? Yes, he is. But I just like the fact, put him in there. Let's go a little slow with him. Vanderbilt's got some time. I'm still hoping Austin Peay gives them a good ball game when they play on September 5th. But let him go slow, and let's see how things develop, and let him go from there. But from that standpoint, I think both schools have a good reason why they're starting the quarterbacks the way they are. But I do think, and Kelly, you're on this too, I don't think McIntyre's going to sit there after paying his dues and watch a freshman come in there and start over him and him sit there for the next 3 years and not transfer out. I just don't think that's going to happen. And last caller, she does need to call back. That was entertaining. That was good to hear somebody in a different perspective, for somebody to call in like that. So that was very encouraging and very enlightening. And guys, I'll say this, I'm going to get off here. If you've got anything to say about him, you better get it in today, because he's back tomorrow. So if you got any backstabbing words you're going to say about old Plaster, you better get it out there now, because he's coming back, and this is the time to get your jabs in. Talk to you guys. See you,
brother.
Hey, if I win this bet tonight and go over 500 for tomorrow, then he's certainly going to hear about it tomorrow.
Nice. George can go pound sand.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, whatever. We've kind of forgotten about him over this past week. Kelly, I feel like and tell me if you agree with this, I feel like there's an old style way of going about this quarterback thing, and there's a new style way of going about it. And the old style way is older guy has been in the system. When he gets his opportunity to go, it's going to be him. Now I think that you can have a newer school way of looking at things where that 5-star freshman that you got, even if he's not bad or if he's not good in his first year, that still buys you time, and you can develop that guy into what you really, really want him to be. Is that accurate?
I think so. I think that's the way of thinking. But now with this money involved, it puts a lot of pressure on coaches to start that kid. But you got to give it to Clark Lee, and I will say this: even though Berlowitz has been there, you still got to go out and perform. And obviously he performed, because if you don't perform, everything in athletics, guys, it doesn't matter how much it's about production. You've got to produce when you get on the field, out on the hard court, out on the diamond, on the ice, whatever you do, you have to produce. And if you don't, they're going to make a change. So it doesn't matter about the money at certain instances. And even if Jared Curtis comes in and he's not you can't sit there and watch him keep making the same mistakes if he ever does that. You just doesn't matter how much money he's getting. So Berlowitz obviously came in, played well enough, knows the offense, experienced, and he played good during training camp. And that's why Clark Lee made that decision.
And also on top of that, to the point of Austin Peay that Tony made, which is Vanderbilt's first opponent, they're going to have already played a game. They'll be in the groove of things. Can't forget that team went and won on the road, an FCS team at MTSU last year.
Yeah.
They also went
they
to
did.
Athens last year and only got beat 28-6 by Georgia, which is even more telling to me. That's no slouch of a football team, and they've got an SEC caliber guy at quarterback in Chris Parson. Can't overlook them. Final caller today, Clay, is on line 4. You're up next on the Plaster Show. Welcome in.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing well. Hope you are.
Kelly, George, there's been a lot of talk about him while he's been gone. So I guess we could talk about it in a little bit, but he'll be back. But he's a happy man right now. The Braves with a huge win last night over the Dodgers.
Oh, I'm sure.
He'll be less happy. He'll be less happy when he sees that was my bet last night and they won.
So they've got, I guess, tonight and tomorrow night too. So I think, and the Phillies lost last night, so there's 4.5 games ahead now, and I believe there's about 30 games to go. I believe when all is said and done, I still think the Braves are going to win the division.
I do too.
So, Kelly, I wish, not to beat a dead horse, but I wish I had this eagle on video. I really do, because I just like to see, how high this ball got in the air. Make sure it wasn't a worm burner. I mean, a 6-iron from 110 yards, right?
We're going off trees. We're going off cart paths.
And we've already George. I'm sure you've played golf with him, Clay. He's really bad. But you know what? He actually hits it. He doesn't hit it far, but he can hit it straight. So if you stay out of trouble, you can score. And George gets to go up to ladies' tees now because he's so old. So he could probably have an okay golf game.
I didn't play with him, but back in the day, they had a BGA golf tournament, and they included a throw in this scramble. You could use a throw at some point. It didn't count as a throw.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. We've been in those. Those are the golf tournaments that take about 7.5 hours to finish.
Have a good day, guys.
See you, brother.
Clay, we appreciate the call. Appreciate all the interaction here on the Plaster Show today. We'll take a quick time out and wrap up the show, wrap up my tenure as host. We welcome back in George Plaster tomorrow on the Plaster Show. We'll wrap this thing up, talk about some bets for tonight on the other side of this on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Are you tired of living with back pain? What would you do if the pain was gone?
At the Dr. Gill Center, we've helped thousands of people over the last 30 years break free from pain and get back to living life. We're committed to your outcomes, and our caring team listens, understands, and offers real solutions to neuropathy, back pain, and joint pain without unnecessary surgery or medication. Choose the clinic that listens. Choose the clinic that cares. Call the Dr. Gill Center today at 615-882-4838.
Let's make your pain-free life a reality.
Baseball is just like music. You don't believe me? Let me show you. It's jazz, improvised and unpredictable. It's rock. The crowd explodes like a guitar through a wall of amps. It's rap, fast, sharp, all rhythm and timing. It's country, nothing but 3 outs and the truth. Do you believe me now? Look, no matter what music you're into, the hottest track in town, Nashville Sounds Baseball. Welcome to his city.
Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment, final hour here on the George Plaster Show on a rainy, now the sun peeking through just a little bit, Wednesday here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're here at our digs from the Sports Ice Center the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Myself, Lewis Maddox, Kelly Holcomb on the George Plaster Show today. Kelly, we've got about 2 minutes left. Wanted to ask you this. We've gone through Titans. We've dissected this offensive trouble, defensive trouble from the Seattle game. We've done it all week. How is it fixed? What do we, and realistically in the short term is what I mean here, how is it fixed? What would be your realistic expectations for something positive when they play Chicago in this joint practice and in the preseason game?
Well, people are not going to like what I hear, but this is the case. You just got to keep working, Lewis. I don't know how good the Titans are going to be. Everybody's got all these prognostications. They haven't looked great. I wish they could have, as Terry talked about, I wish they would have brought what they did in the joint practice with the Seahawks to the game. They didn't. I would have loved to have seen that so you'd have a better barometer of what they're doing. But the only thing you can do, Lewis, and people hate hearing this kind of stuff because they say that's all you say all the time. But when you're in those locker rooms, when you're in those walls, you kind of got to take all the noise out. Tom Brady used to talk about that with Bill Belichick. You can't worry about what other people think. We know what's going on in the building. We just have to keep working. They've just got to keep trying to get better. They know where they are as a team. Every year, the hope of everybody, the fans, the players, the organizations, think that we're going to win a lot of games. Hey, that still holds true here. They're 0-0 right now. I don't know where they're going. They haven't shown much, but you just got to keep working, man. I don't know how else to do it. You might not be very good right now. Bill Parcells always used to say you are what your record says you are, but they're 0-0 right now. And if they can keep getting a little bit better, listen to Cam Ward. He can talk all that he wants to, but he's got to get consistent throwing the ball down the field. He hasn't been consistent, and this is the second year now. So he's got to get better with that. I know you have to get reps with guys, but it sucks, but you just have to keep working. You can't worry about what other people are saying about you, how good or how bad you're going to be. Nick Saban called it rat poison, and that's truly what it is. So they have to just keep trying to get better and better and better each day.
Kelly, final 45 seconds of the show. We go to the bet results from this week. We're sitting at 2-2 after Atlanta wins last night. But tonight or today, the Cubs were a pick-em pretty much against the Diamondbacks. And Kelly, hate to report, don't know if you can see that right there. If people on the stream can see that. But what that said was Arizona won that game 2-0 over Chicago. So we're going to end up 2-3. But if you took the bets that I won, you're still probably in the green a little bit. So
you're not helping the people, Lewis.
We still might be in the green. Come on, give me
George
a
always
break
says
here.
he's helping the people, and you're not helping the people right now.
Hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. This was the George Plaster Show. We'll see you from Austin P tomorrow.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Brett Luna. A few pop-up showers and thunderstorms are possible Thursday. High temperatures will be in the lower 90s. After that, we're looking at some really nice days ahead. We'll get plenty of sunshine on Friday through the weekend and into early next week. Highs will be in the lower 90s Friday and Saturday.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Looking for your next big career move? Busy Bee is hiring immediately. We're looking for experienced pros to join our team as a plumbing project manager and HVAC project manager, comfort advisor. If you have